Welcome into Command Center Saturday Night Special Live Tampa Bay edition. I am back with my guys, which means week one is just a day away. Brian Coble Jr. here with Brian Mitchell, Santana Moss, and fellas, we back. Don't it feel good?
Yeah, I feel like we never left. Yeah.
You call it back, it's like we took a nap and came, time to work again. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I missed the salmon memo, man. Y'all rocking the good pea, man. Y'all came forward already, man.
I actually had to change this shirt because for some reason I had some food on my other one. So,
well, fellas, man, again, we're here because it is week one. We're taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot to be excited about. Of course, we're going to talk about Jaden Daniels, but we have to talk about some other things first, right? Because there's a lot of storylines and threads to this game. But first things first, I'm with some legends. I like to walk down memory lane with my legends. So what is your favorite memory from week one that you guys had?
Well, mine, I'm going to go back to when I was out of the league, and Robert Griffin III came in, and it was a lot of hype about him, and they didn't get much I guess I'd say favor from national media, and they went down to New Orleans, my hometown, and Rob, he had a day, and they ended up winning that football game, and that year was outstanding, and I'll say this, I would love to see the exact same thing, but let's take that year and make it into a career.
Yeah, I don't have too many, I guess I could say favorite opening game one of the season, but I think the most memorable one for me was the first year I got here in 05. Just being that there was a new team, and I had to basically, we played home. We had a home game that game. We played against the Chicago Bears. I think we beat them 6-0. And the reason why that sticks out to me more than all the other games I've ever played in, week one, far as because of Mark Brunell he entered the game, I think mid-game because the Ramsey got hurt, and that was our season. Like I'm looking at it like, man, I just got here and our starting quarterback gets hurt, but I knew of Mark Brunell, and so. The rest is history. Everyone knows what 05 was like. It was magical. So that's why it's one of those ones that stands out.
See, Tanner made me think. 1991.
Oh, okay.
Detroit Lions against the Washington R team at the time.
Yes.
I was the first time I was the official punt returner that year. And they punted the ball, and I think it was our first score. I caught the ball, 69 yards. Got through this crack, and this guy hit me, big lineman type dude. I laid him on his back and went on into the end zone, and we ended up beating them 45-0 in that game. And we went on to the Super Bowl, and we played them again later in the season in the playoffs, and we beat them 41-10. So 2 games against Detroit, 86-10.
Wow.
It's crazy as you guys tell these stories. I think, tomorrow could be the start of a new favorite memory for us, a new favorite week one because of everything that's going to go down. And fans, we want you guys to be involved in this as well. We want to hear from you. Make sure you reach out to us with your guys' questions so we can answer them live on air. Now, normally we have a hashtag, but this time I want you to tweet at Brian Mitchell. He put out a tweet on there. Respond to that tweet. What's your ad real quick?
BMitch30.
BMitch30. Make sure you tweet to him and let us know any questions. He can read them live on air. I have a few already in the
I think that's my tweet.
We can read live on air. If not, it's not going to be too hard to find Brian Mitchell, the one of the kind Brian Mitchell. While he looks for that, guys, let's get right into it, right? You talk about your first game here in Washington. There are so many firsts going on tomorrow. Not just the first for our rookies, not just the first for all these free agents, but our first for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. The start of their era starts tomorrow. How important is this game? What does this game mean for them in the start of this era?
I think you said it. It's the start of a new beginning for these guys. Both of these guys are, well respected, as far as general manager and head coach. When you think about Dan Quinn, a lot of people brings up his last stint as a head coach. But even with that being his last stint, you have to understand his, I guess you can say, his resume when it comes to just being a defensive coordinator. The last I know of a Dan Quinn is what he did in Dallas. And so when you think about, the defense and how he, one of the things that always stood out about me playing here in Washington, as good as they said Dallas was week in and week out, that defense wasn't what it was, back when I was playing. And you fast forward to the years when Dan Quinn was there, he changed all that. And that's why they was able to have those consecutive 12-win seasons. And so when you think about Dan Quinn and now Adam Peters coming together, it's really the start of them, transforming this organization back to dominance. And so that's what I'm looking forward to these guys doing, being able to go out there and bring this franchise back. But we have to take it 1 week at a time. And this week, it starts tomorrow.
See, society has selective memory. Okay, let's be real. Dan Quinn's last stint as a head coach, he was in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How the hell we gonna knock that? especially in this town.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of coaches come through here who last stints might have been Super Bowls and they didn't do anything here. Okay, Dan Quinn was great as a defense coordinator, great as an assistant coach. He became a head coach and took his team to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And he seems to hold all of the blame for them not winning that game. Yeah. So a lot of other people that did some things in that game that caused them not to win that game, and they are getting praised. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my ultimate thing is, listen, if he give us his last stint, get us into a Super Bowl, win or lose, is better than what the hell we've been having. Yeah. You know, so I don't understand mindsets when a man took a team to a Super Bowl that was a bottom feeder. And then they became a Super Bowl participant. Yeah. And they think, and we now in society are so damn pessimistic that that is a bad thing. Buffalo went to 4 Super Bowls and lost all 4 of them. Marv Levy was a great damn coach. Yeah, he didn't win any, but you can't sit up here and tell me he wasn't a great coach. Yeah. So when you start looking at a guy like a Dan Quinn, he was in the Super Bowl. Look at a guy like Adam Peters, they were in the Super Bowl. Adam them didn't win it when they went neither. But he doesn't take the brunt of that. So why are we knocking Dan? I think society is a little confused where the people that's probably blaming him and knocking him, what have they won?
And Beamish, on the flip side of that, all those things you're saying are, I think, why Commanders fans are so excited to have a guy like Dan Quinn, have a guy like Adam Peters, because they have shown the ability to win. They have shown the ability to gather talent. And you hear nothing but great things about this guy. Look at this energy around the building. We're there every day, right? Yeah. Talk to the energy about that, because I feel like we're sitting in a much different place right now than we were week 1 last year.
I agree totally. You know, and the thing for me is like, listen, man, you're supposed to come in here, and as a coach, your job, you have one job, to go out there and get the absolute best out of your players. And that normally starts with the respect that players have for you. And how do you get the players to have respect for you? You give them respect. And this is a league where you have men. This is not college anymore. This is not high school. And Dan treats the guys like men. Yeah. So those guys are going to respect that, and they're going to give what they have. Listen, my whole thing, I got to the NFL, I didn't really care if the coach respect me or not. It's my job. You know, I have to bring one level, one energy every day to be the best that I can be. And I think he enables those guys to do that because he treats them with respect. Yeah. And I think when you see that, you want to give him the best. Like you hear people say, man, I'll run through a wall for that coach. Dan is that type of guy where you want to run through the wall for him.
And Tanner, what a test for Dan Quinn, right? The Buccaneers in the playoffs last of the 4 seasons. They won their last 3 season openers, so this is a real test, and it's on the road. What does being on the road, what challenges does that add for our offense and our defense being on the road in a tough place to play?
You know, they have the pros and the cons. I think one of the things about it, you know, con-wise is just, you know, not from being familiar with the whole, you know, their stadium, you know, for new guys or guys who haven't played in that stadium, having to deal with crowd noise, having to be off your routine that you're normally on, you know, when you're at home. But that comes with our game. That comes with the territory. So I think when you're a football player, you don't really look at it as being a con. You know, you don't look at the pros and the con about playing the road. You just say, hey, where I'm playing at this week, oh, we away. Yeah. And mentally you ready by Monday, regardless of when we start practice, you're ready Monday to say we playing away game. So I have to get myself mentally ready to go out here and make this thing feel like home. And the way you make it feel like home, you go out there and make plays when your opportunity comes.
And I'm with 2 playmakers right now. So let's get into this offense. Before we get into this offense, we do have a fan question for both of you guys. Y'all both returned kicks at a very high level. So this is from Wild Kyle Oat Adventures. I think that's what it says. Yo, B-Mitch and Tanner, what are your most memorable kick returns? That's got to be a tough one. B-Mitch, I will start with you because you've had like a million.
My most memorable one is the first one I ever had, to be honest with you. 1990. I was moved to kick return, punt return, and I'm a running back. I'm no longer a quarterback. I played quarterback 8 years, 9 years, high school and college. And then all of a sudden I get here and they move me to kick return. And we were playing in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, against the Atlanta Falcons. And I can remember my coach constantly saying, hey, that hole won't stay open long. You got to get through it. And they kicked the ball off, and I caught it, and I saw a hole open, and all I thought was get through the damn hole. And when I finished running, I was in the end zone. So my first return ever in the NFL, I scored a touchdown on it. Wow. And I think the rest is history because that basically gave me the mindset that I can do this. Because I was like, if I get knocked out, I thought returners were crazy as hell. Well, I quickly realized I was crazy as hell. I was going to Canada. You know, if I got hit hard in that game, I went to Coach Gibbs' office and say, I'm going to Saskatchewan, bro. I'm out here. I wasn't going to be doing it anymore.
That's what I was going to ask is after that, where you like, okay, I can do this now. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to, I'm going to have fun doing this.
Listen, man, Charles Mann said, you just made the football team. Wow. And Wayne Severe said, you haven't done a damn thing. You on kickoff coverage, you better be able to tackle, which I was.
Yeah. Well, since you asked for most memorable kick return, I'm a punt returner, so I have to bring up a punt return. I could say my last year in New York, 2004, and for people who don't know, I was drafted by the Jets in 2001 as a wide receiver punt returner. Later, after being there for a year or so, I realized they really didn't want me much as a receiver. They wanted me more as a punt returner. So 2004, I was dealing with another hamstring. From my first day of being, not first day, my first year of being there, after hurting my knee, my hamstrings just wasn't right. And so in 2004, I started the season off with a little agging, hamstring. So I take myself off a punt return because I'm a starting receiver now. You know, I'm telling myself, just had 1,000 yards in 2003. 2004 is my year to get paid. Let me go ahead and go out here and show them how dominant I could be as a receiver 2 years in a row. Still led the team at receiver, but they was pissed. They didn't want me as a receiver, a full-time receiver. They was mad that I wasn't lining up every week as a punt returner. And I just couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't do it because and I know it's a different speed. It's a different gear you have to get into to run away from folks as a punt returner than a wide receiver. I can run 3/4 speed as a receiver route-wise and just get open, catch the ball, and get down. As a punt returner, you're running for your life. So long story short, I knew they pissed off all year about it, but I just couldn't do it, and I wasn't going to put my body through it. And then later on, we go into the playoffs, to the postseason. I tell Herm Edwards, I say, hey, Herm, going to the second round, playoff, I say, put me back at punt return this week, and I'm going to run it back. Now, if you know me, I'm not a guy that do that. I don't call my shots. I'm not a guy that's big on all that. Right. But I just had that feeling. It was something came over me to tell coach to do that, and I knew they was pissed off with me all year with it. So Herm like, all right. You want to be back there? Put him back there. By my second punt return against Pittsburgh Steelers that night, that second postseason game, I ran it back. It was the first Jet punt return in postseason ever.
Wow, man.
80 yards.
Ain't that crazy how life works?
Crazy, bro. It's crazy.
And
crazy. What's even crazier, Dan Snyder, I swear, on everything I love, he talked to me when I got here that year, because we played in the postseason. I ended up getting traded after that game. He said, bro, I watched you play both postseason games. You had 100-yard receiving the first week and a touchdown. The next week, you ran a punt back. I knew I wasn't going to get you in a trade, and you here. Wow. That just goes to show you how things is. They're just meant to happen. It's meant to happen. So
it always got a plan, man.
So, yeah,
wow, look at that.
So, yeah, that was my most memorable one. And it was crazy because, like I said, I wasn't doing it all year, and I just told her, like, throw me back in there, man. I'm ready for it.
Man, see, that's why I love getting the fans involved, because y'all ask these questions to get these guys to go back.
Yeah,
that was great. And you know what? So we're going to get one more because it's about kick returning as well. So this is from Jacoby, S-U-O-N. If you had to pick, who will be the first player to return a kickoff return for a touchdown with the way new kickoffs are on our team? Who do you think will return that for the first time? Because we don't even know who's going to be our kickoff returner.
That's a funny thing, because we don't know who's really going to be back there.
Yeah.
And I still have listen, I've been looking at the practices, and I've been looking at how things are going. I look at other teams. I believe we're going to start using some of our running backs. Mm-hmm. I'm being honest with you. And I look at a guy like Eckler.
Yeah.
And I also believe that they would love to get a guy like Luke back there. Mm-hmm. And I believe one of those guys on this team is going to have the bigger return first.
Yeah.
Because, listen, man, because the thing, I look at guys that gets the work. OZ, McCaffrey, and also I'm thinking Eckler may be a special one, because a lot of people haven't seen him there.
Yeah.
And I also had a conversation with another person. I'm just saying, I had a conversation with another person. When I say that things like this, I seem to start little issues in the city. It may be another person returning some kickoffs soon, and I would love to see him back there. I'm gonna just leave it at that, because he kind of mentioned it to me on the slide. I don't know if he wanted to be public.
Okay.
But I'm gonna let it come out when it comes out. Okay. If you see him, then I'll talk about it.
You just remind us of it when it happens.
Yeah, I can't put my hand on it right now. I think when I was looking at the report, far as the starting lineup this week, I saw so many different names in different spots that I wasn't expecting. I saw Pringle back there as a kick returner, so I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, maybe that is a way to get him on the field. Maybe that's the way, because he's one of those guys. I thought highly of him last year, just seeing what he did for us offensively. So who knows? But I'm with you, B. Mitch, when it comes to just the style that they're trying to present now, the way they want us to play. It looks like it's fit for a running back. And if I would trend to saying that the third running back probably would be that guy that be the starter as a kick returner, but who knows? They might know a little more than us. So tomorrow will tell us a lot about who's going to be where, and I can't wait to see it.
Great fan questions, Commanders family. Shout out to our producer, Anna Newkirk, for funneling those questions, and Maddie Benton for making sure we sound lovely. Hopefully we do.
B Mitch Live 30.
B Mitch Live 30.
Yeah, you have some other stuff in there to take it out.
B Mitch, you can check your phone while they tweet to you, man. No problems at all. We live. We have fun.
Check no tweets.
I know you're not. I know you're not. So
but I'll do it for the show.
We talk about all these weapons, so let's just get right into that offense, right? Because it's not just a first for Dan Quinn; it's also a first for our new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah,
we've talked about this a lot, but fellas, what are the expectations for Cliff Kingsbury around offense with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels at the helm?
I think one of the things that, if you watch Cliff back in Arizona, it was one of those offenses that presented itself as a spread offense, in the passing game. He sped things up tempo-wise. He was unpredictable each week because sometimes he's going to speed the tempo up, no huddle, you name it. He's going to do things to get you off balance. And I think especially coming into this week, knowing what Todd Bowles brings defensively, this is the time to use some of those things that he does well with that. And more than anything, when you look at it and you say, well, how dynamic they was in the passing game, they also was in the run game. And that's what people fail to realize. And that's why we've been talking heavily and highly about what B. Rob can bring to this offense, because Cliff loves to have you out there thinking one thing and slam it right up your gut with a guy like B. Rob. We saw him do it in Arizona with Connor. Connor had one of those magnificent years when he came over from Pittsburgh, and the way he ran the ball and scored touchdowns after touchdown after touchdown every time they got into the red zone. So I think it's going to be one of those offenses with this staff, because you look at the guys that he has, the weapons that he has, even including Eckler, he has backs that can do it all. They can catch out the backfield, and they can run the ball. So I'm looking forward to just seeing him doing some of the things he did similar over there in AZ, but he has a lot of different weaponry, and I want him to use them all.
I think when he first got there, Arizona, he said this in one of his press conferences. He said, all I had to look at was what I did at TCU or Texas Tech. And he said, now I have another head coach on my staff. In Lynn. I have other guys. I have people I can lean on and pick up other things, other aspects of the NFL game. So I would say what we think Cliff offense is not what you're going to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I think nobody has seen what his offense is going to be right now, because in preseason what I saw Austin Eckler come in the game and he lined up in the eye or in what they call now a pistol. And he didn't run the ball. He ran a pass route. Wow. I watched Brian Robinson come in the game in the T position. Normally behind the tackle, you're going to run a pass route. And he ran the football. So he is doing things, and he had the running backs going from one side to the other pre-snap. He had a lot of movement going on. I think this offense is going to be something that is Cliff Kingsbury, plus a lot of what Lynn used to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And Lynn is an expert at the run game.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to a lot of things. And then we have a guy at quarterback, and we're going to talk about him, I'm sure. We saw the game the other night on Thursday night. They lost the game to Baltimore Ravens, but Lamar Jackson is damn electrifying.
Yes.
And I think we have a guy that could do things like that. And I believe that our guy is a better passer than what Lamar is.
And B. Mitch, Anthony Lynn, a former head coach, a lot on this staff, a lot of former head coaches. And he has a relationship with Eckler. Him and Eckler have played together before. So really excited to see what they do there. And to touch on Tanner's point, B. Mitch, talk about the rushing game. We averaged 4.4 yards per carry last year. That was seventh most in the NFL. But we had the least amount of carries in the NFL. Those things don't add up, but to your point, Tanner, it shows. B-Rob can run the ball. B-Rob is talented, but
B-Rob's a beast.
B-Rob is a monster, and what a test for him, because the Buccaneers, as bad as they were against the pass, they were really, really, really good against the run. How do we get B-Rob going in this game, B. Mitch?
Well, the thing about it is, listen, when you look at a guy like Vita Vea, you say, well, I'm not running the ball to him. You know what you do? He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And they say he slimmed down to like a slim 330 pounds.
Yeah.
Dude lose like 40 pounds. He slimmed down to 330. He's a big boy. But big boys, you got to get them moving. Can't just go at them.
Side to side.
You know, I can remember a game in college where we played against Colorado State. They were the biggest guys I've ever seen in my life. And the coach said, what we're going to do? I said, Coach, we got to get them going side to side. And at the end of the day, I had 271 yards rushing from the quarterback position.
Wow.
Because we got them tired.
Yeah.
And then we started going straight at them. You have to, and what we have to do is capitalize on every opportunity that we get. Yeah. They're going to give us some chances. Yeah. And you got to capitalize on them. But you can't play their strength and run straight downhill. You got to get that guy moving and thinking. And it has people hitting him in his ear. You know, because big people worry about getting hit too. And Brian is the type of guy where as he gets going, and the more he gets, the better he's going to be.
Yeah. Something's inevitable. You know, Vita Vea is going to be Vita Vea. He's going to be one of those guys that, regardless of what we try to do to counter what he's going to bring, we have to be that much more better at what we're doing when we do counter. But I think one of the things that you do offensively that we've seen done before from some of these, you know, geniuses as OCs is find a way to bring different packages in. If you keep him running in and off the field, now you get him a little tired from just running in and off the field. Yeah. And then with that being said, too, if I change the package while he's off the field, now I'm hurry up offense. Leave him off the field. Yeah. And now get that run game. So you have to be, you know what I'm saying? You have to play a chess game with these guys a little bit. Bingo. And get them stuck on the field. Don't let them off the field. So, you know, we not in those seats to be those OCs. That's their job. They have the hard job. We're just talking about it. But I think you have to just have that kind of mindset with them. Look, man, we know he's going to be a wrecking force. And along with that, he has a guy on the second end in Vontae Davis, and you have a guy on the third level in Winfield Jr. That all these guys together, they have three on every level that can be a beast. So you just got to play mind games with them, but at the same time, you got to go out there and play football.
And just to really put it in perspective for you guys, they ranked 5th in rushing defense last year. They only allowed 11 rushing touchdowns all season. Wow. So a great test for us. And this running game is going to help our rookie quarterback. Now let's talk about it. I think we've pushed it off long enough. Let's talk about our rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And I want to start with, because we haven't seen him on the field too much, right? Like they've taken good care of him, only done a couple drives. But we have seen is him walking around the arena, him interacting with people, dealing with us, talking to the media, dealing with his players. First one in, last one out. What have you seen on a mental and maturity standpoint from Jaden Daniels, Brian?
Well, I've seen a guy that doesn't let the moment get to him. You know, you watch him go around, and this thing doesn't seem like it's too big for him, where he's trying to now become somebody he wasn't. He's been who he's always been. And I've always told people, they say, man, now I'm in the NFL. I say, just keep doing what you've been doing. Because as you mature, you're going to get better. Yeah. You'll learn more. But the problem, a lot of guys get to this level and they immediately try to become somebody else. Yeah. Jaden hasn't done that. Yeah. And the thing about him is, even on the football field, they were saying, well, he gets rid of the ball in 1.95 seconds. What the hell's wrong with that? If that means he's a quick reader, he makes a decision, he let the ball go. Yeah. So if he needs to take 2 or 3, which is normally an offensive line should block for 3 seconds or a little bit more, then he's going to be even better. So for me, I have no issue with this kid. From the amount of time I saw him in the games, he went in, he did what he was supposed to do. He was so damn advanced, he called off a play and checked it to something that they probably didn't want him to check it to. We don't want to show that just yet. But hey, he knows it. Yeah. I mean, he understood his offense, he understood the look, and he delivered. Yeah. So I'm excited about him getting on the field. And look, I just think, be who you are. You don't have to live up to no other person's first game or whatever. Just be who you are and just try to gradually get better every week.
Well, tomorrow going to be a lot of firsts for him. You know, I think, you know, anybody in his shoes and in our shoes of becoming an NFL player, that first game you experience a lot of firsts. I mean, it's going to be his first time coming in that bus, going into that stadium. It's going to be his first time being a starting quarterback in the National Football League. It's going to be his first away game, you know, as a rookie quarterback. It's going to be so many different emotions he has to experience going into that game. But at the same time, I think one of the things that's not the first is he played this game before. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the thing that he has to put into perspective. Like, look, man, I've been here before. As a little leaguer, as a high schooler, as a collegiate, now as a pro. Yeah. And I think if you allow everything to come into complex and say, okay, what did I do on all those levels? How was my game each week in and week out? And if you allow your game to flow the way it flowed then, you'll be all right tomorrow. So I think what I would tell a guy like, you know, Jaden Daniels, man, coming into his first every NFL game is let the game flow to you. Yeah. You know, you don't have to go out here and show them nothing. You're going to show them a lot because the way you play football is going to be electrifying. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to allow this team to have chances to win, but allow that to happen off of doing the things that you do best, and that's just being the quarterback you are.
And B. Mitch mentioned, Tanner, the way that he gets the ball out and how quickly he does. And it's crazy to me that people see that as a knock because all last year, all we talked about was get the ball out.
Get the ball out your hands,
Washington quarterbacks were the second most quarterbacks in the NFL sacked. Yeah. Sam Howell was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. Tanner, everybody wants to know, how are we going to protect Jayden Daniels? What do you think you've seen so far? We've made some changes. We've made some draft picks. We've made some little adjustments. Do you think we've improved on being able to protect our quarterback?
I think we're going to look at it back basically off of how many guys did we pick up on the offensive line considered than what the guys that we had. And I feel like when you have a new staff and they come in and you didn't make too many changes there, then something was right. Something was right. We got a couple of guys that we brought in, Biotis and those boys, and then we kept some of the guys, and then we brought in a young guy at tackle. Something was right. Something was right enough for we didn't have to spend enough money there. I think it's going to be one of those things, man. You know, schematically, they will find ways to do so. You know what I mean? Whether we have a lot of tight ends for a reason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We have a run game coordinator basically in Lynn for a reason. He's a guy that can basically set up our run game to make sure that we're in certain sets that we can do both run and pass out of. So we have all these different coaches in here for a reason, I think, that has these offensive mindsets. You think about the guy that's coming over from Philly. You think about Lynn. You think about, Kingsbury and all those guys. So that's one of the reasons that makes me believe that, you know, they have a solution. You know what I mean? Yeah, we didn't go out there and go get the best or the highest paid or spend a lot of money on the tackle, but we got a young guy who has potential. And then we have a couple of guys that we kept around like Lucas and those boys. So I think we have the guys here. It's all about them go out there and playing. And the way that these coaches have already been talking to us about how they pick their guys to be on their team, the way they want them to play, obviously they stand up to the test. These guys have been tested enough to be saying that you fit the caliber of kind of player that we want here to play for the Commanders, Commander kind of football. And it's not a Commander football of old. Yeah, and it's only been here a couple of years, right? We only been a Commander for how many years now? You know what I'm saying? So this staff is saying they're going to set the tone of what a Commander should look like. And I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And I think also Jayden Daniels is saying, who can help take care of the quarterback better than the quarterback? He gets the ball out of his hands quickly, don't he?
Yes, he does.
And the whole thing about it is you can help out your offensive line. And one thing I can say is I've asked the question, Dan, I've asked, why don't they help the tackles?
Yeah.
If you are not told, look, I help Jim Lachey. I see people helping Trent. Trent, because they're the best in the league.
Yeah.
So why weren't we helping our guys under the coordinators we had previously? But in preseason, I watched running backs step up and hit people, chip on the way out. I watched tight ends chip on the way out. So they're going to do what they need to do. Listen, if I'm going out on a check route and this guy is giving my tackle a little problem, as a person with football IQ, I'm hitting him right in that rib cage and go put him back on that tackle. You remember CP would hit people.
Yeah, all day.
Larry Sanders would hit people. Mike Sellers would hit him. And once you hit him one good time, you know what that end does the next time?
Check.
Comes off the ball and look for you. And the moment he's looking at me, he's not getting to my quarterback. So I think every running back on this football team, if you want to make yourself valuable, this is the thing about a running back. You want to run the ball, but you have two jobs prior to that. You have to protect that quarterback. Then you have to also not fumble the football. Because if you're fumbling the football, you don't protect the quarterback, we're not playing you. So if you do those two things, you're going to make yourself very, very much indebted to the coaches.
And B-Mitch, you got to imagine Dan Quinn and Anthony Lynn had that in mind when building this team. Because you look at a guy like Austin Eckler. My man benches high 400s. Like, he is a monster, and he is just as good as a pass blocker as he does anything else, man. So he is, man. So it's so exciting to see what they're going to be able to do. Now, I think it's time for another fan question because this goes perfectly with it. This is from @TE White with 2 E's. Watching Lamar do his thing opening night was exciting. How much running do you want to see from Jayden Daniels?
I want to see whatever the opportunity presents. If things break down, run the ball, get what you get down. Okay? If they have a play where it's designed, do the same thing. If the read is to give it to the running back, give it to the running back. Read, you keep it, you get what you can, get down. But I'm not going to go as far as saying, oh, man, slide every time. He has ability where he can go to the house. And I would never handcuff a person with that ability. Yeah. You watched Lamar the other night. Now, I would tell Lamar, don't keep trying to throw the elbow. But you notice when he was throwing his shoulder, it was always a cornerback. Yeah. It was a linebacker.
Pick and choose.
So he knows what he's doing. But Lamar lost weight to play like that.
He did. Mm-hmm.
So I would say if he has to run the ball, run it. Because he has ability that is God-given. Yeah, and why the hell will any one of us be able to tell him not to use what the big man gave him?
Amen.
I was listening to a parent the other day, and I guess she knew I was next to her, but wasn't trying to say it loud enough, but wanted me to hear it. She was like, "Oh, I wouldn't. How could you guys even go through that? Like, how would you put your body through that?" I say, "Because that's what I do. Just like you a nurse, and that's what you do."
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, how come you put yourself through what you do nursing?
How do you go to the hospital and deal with all them diseases in the hospital? All the germs.
This is what I signed up for. You know what I mean? And you go through it as a kid all the way to where you get to be a pro at it. And that's what I would say, man. You know, we get so caught up into what people say so much to where we forget about what he's done all his life to get here.
Yes.
You understand? He done it to get here. So why are you going to have something to say about it now? I understand it's a different league. I understand you're playing with grown men. But guess what, man? When he was a kid, he was playing with those kids that could do the same thing those grown men could do to now a young grown man. You know what I mean? A young man, put it like that. So I just say, man, just play the game the way you know it. I think, you know, when you're a football player and you're allowing yourself to play within the confines of the game, then you have no problem with whatever happened afterwards. Whether you get injured or not, that's what happens with the game. You know what I'm saying? You have to let the game be the game. Yeah. And as a quarterback, I know, he knows, and the coaching staff knows, we want him upright as much as we can. So we aren't going to put him in them situations. But when we have that leverage, we have to use it. We have to take advantage of moments when we can keep the defense on their heels and present that kind of a activity. If you present that to that defense, now they got to think twice about who may be getting that ball. So I'm loving the fact that we have that threat. You know what I mean? That makes us just that much more potent as an offense when you have the threat of a guy back there that can run. It's the same thing I was telling RG the year after he had the success in 2012. I'm like, bro, run. Look, let's run. Like, at the end of the day, this is what you gifted to do. I understand you want to show them more you can do it in the pocket. Back then, that was an emphasis. Show us more that you can be a pocket. Right now, today's football game, man, do what you can to win games. And I think if he have the ability, you know, he's going to make sure that he shows it, but be smart while he's doing it.
The fact that he can run, that's going to slow down the linebacker. That's going to slow down the safety.
He's a defensive.
That's going to enable the thing. Just his ability to run means that you probably going to have a run play for him in your game plan. Because once he does it, because if he never does it, nobody respects it. But once he does it, every time he sticks it in, somebody is hesitating. And what that does, they either give B-Rob or Eckler more room, or they come down so hard and it lets them walk around the end. You got to do it.
And if you're AP and DQ, you don't bring a guy like Cliff Kingsbury in and saying, oh, hey, we're going to muzzle this guy's speed. No, Cliff Kingsbury knows what to do with that. That's why we have Mariota here. They want to run the ball with this guy. So I can't wait to see a great, great fan question. And, fellas, we got to talk a little bit about our defense, right? We got to, even though we're offensive guys. So Baker Mayfield, 4,000-plus yard, career highs across the board last year, gets a bag, 3 years, $100 million. How do we keep Baker Mayfield on the ground? How do we put hands on him? How do we get his jersey dirty?
Well, you have to do a lot of what you saw happening for years in L.A. Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald lived in people's backfield, straight up the middle at the quarterback. Moved them off their spot. The guy that's doing that right now is Chris Jones. And we watched him the other night where he went past the guard as if the guard wasn't there. He was giving the center's problem. See, the thing about football today, we have all of these analytical talk, and everybody think they know just because everybody got a damn podcast now. The best thing about the D lineman, it ain't just the outside pass rush. It's inside. If we get inside push and pressure, you can mess with him because Baker's not the tallest guy. And if you keep moving him off his block or make him hold the ball a little bit longer or deliver it sooner than he wants to, you give yourself a chance. And I believe we have two guys that can get that done, and we have backups that are as capable as those guys. So with John and Duron, I think this year they are key to having big games and making the defense have big games by getting that pressure up the middle.
One of the worst rushing teams in the league last year was the Bucs, but they know how to throw that ball. And a big part of that, Tana, is your boy Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Those are some big receivers. Both eclipsed 1,000 yards last year.
Mike did it 10 years straight.
He's done it a long time. And so it's not an easy thing to slow these guys down. And a lot of eyes have been on our secondary. We brought some new guys in. We got Emmanuel Forbes coming back, first-round pick. How do we slow these wide receivers down with so much size and speed?
You got to come play ball. I think, I can't wait to really see what we're going to do under Joe Witt Jr. I think what he brought to the table from day one when he sat in that seat with us on Command Center and talked to us about the kind of guy that he's looking for. Okay, so we done made our team. All these guys was on the rosters, the guys that fit what he said you can play with. And, one of the things that he said about playing, the style of play that they want to be disruptive. And one of the things that stood out more than anything what he said was ball is life. And the way that he wanted to be back there in that secondary, he want these guys to be, creating turnovers and being in situations where they're deflecting passes to make sure that ball is just what he's speaking. It's life. In order for them to be productive defensively, they have to have the ball in their hands to be giving them back to our offense. So I'm looking forward to the challenge that Mike Evans and Godwin brings to this defense, because I know in the past I would be sitting here looking like, dang, I already know these boys coming up here and they already going to check this one off and say these boys going to give us the business. But I think the way the coordinator has kind of brought a different style or energy to this defense, I want to see these guys rise to the challenge. I want to see what St. Jude's brings to the table this year. I want to see what Forbes got in store this year. A lot of the coaches has been praising him in the training camp. I know people look at the different things that's shown up on social media. Oh, he got beat again by this guy. But that's the position they play. Guys going to catch passes on you. You understand?
Exactly.
One of the things about Forbes that I knew from when he came into this team from college is that you put the right kind of defense behind him and let him hunt. Let him go out there and jump passes and be that guy to play making, because he can run those routes with the receivers, and he has the ball skills to go out there and attack that ball and take it the other way. So if you put a guy like that in the right kind of defense and let him be special at what he does, now we talking. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now we have guys like Sanders still that's going to be out there who you saw what he did in the preseason, and you saw what he did on the collegiate level. So I'm just looking forward to the challenge. I think Mike Evans speaks for himself. What he's done in this league, nobody else has done it. Right. Mitch just spoke about it. 10 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. You got a guy like Godwin. He's finally healthy. Yes. He had that knee surgery, 2 years ago. Last year he was a shell of himself, but now, and he still went out there and was productive. Yeah. So, he's going to be probably now more primarily in the slot. He's a guy, man, that I'm more scared of a guy like Godwin than I am against Evans, because Evans is a big guy. You can kind of put a shell over a guy like that and say, man, let's make them do jump balls to him all day, and let's be aggressive and try to get in his face. Now, he's going to do what he do, but Godwin's the guy that moves the chains. So I would all be scared of a guy like Godwin. He's that guy that can get in that slot and outside, and he's very physical. So they both can, be very challenging to our defense, but I think we have the guys for the job.
And I think the ultimate thing is we have to look at it. It's not it's not secondary, it's not deep pass rush or linebackers. It's the defense.
Yes.
And everybody depends on the other person. A secondary can make a lineman or a D lineman or a DN have a better chance of getting a sack. And a DN can make the secondary have a better chance of getting the interception. And the linebackers can have a better chance of making sure that the tight end is not a dump off. Yeah. So everybody has to go out there and work together and do their jobs. And I think that's something that Dan and also Joe talks about at all times. Like, I don't care who's on the field.
Yes.
Do your job. Yeah. And I think everyone needs to do it. Because, like, last year, we saw guys running in the secondary, but the quarterback was in the pocket holding the ball a long time. So if you're not getting pressure and you got a guy that runs a 4-3 or a 4-2, like Tyreek, whatever the hell he runs, they're going to get past your secondary. Nobody holds a coverage for 5, 6, 7 seconds. It don't happen. So you have to get pressure, and also when you get pressure, you can play tighter.
And to you guys' point, it's not just the receivers, right? They have a tight end in Kadon. They have Rashad White, who has the highest catch percentage in the league as a running back. And he's a workhorse. So there's a lot of things to look at, guys. But we are running out of time here. So I got one more question for you guys, fans. Thank y'all for the questions. We love this. This has been so much fun doing this again with you guys. Oh, man, it's going to be a fun season. Last question. Who has the most to prove in week one? That's not just players. That could be coaches. That could be anybody. Who has the most to prove in week one? B. Mitch, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to go with the whole football team. I'm going to go with the Commanders. And I think people say that's a cop-out, but it's the truth. Listen, we have had nothing but positivity going on since Josh and his crew bought this football team. Then they hired Adam. Then they brought Dan in. And then you started to see how they went in free agency. Then they went to the draft. They have made nothing but steps. So I think the whole team has a chance to take a step. Because every time I talk to somebody, and I'm on the radio every damn day, and people are always telling me about what was last year, what was the year before. If this team comes out in this game and perform at a certain level, they're taking a step out of the past into the future, and I hope the fans go with them. Because that's the thing about it. Like, listen, I can forget about what the hell happened yesterday. Because when I get in my car, I got a rearview mirror, that big. Then I have a big-ass, what's it called, my front window, windshield.
Windshield.
Why am I looking at the little part of my life when I can look at the big old future? And I believe this team has a lot of great things coming. Yeah. So I want them to make a step to where we're going to go out and give you something that you ain't used to. And guess what? You don't always win. You may not even win the game, but you can perform at a different level. Yes. And I think that's the thing about it. I think the team has a chance to go out there and put out a great foot to get everybody they want to follow them to start following them.
Okay, I love that because I would have went with us too. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say Baker Mayfield. I said Baker Mayfield because we saw Baker Mayfield put everything that he went to, all the turmoil, everything he went through in Cleveland, behind him by getting this new deal, and now he's their guy. And so now when you look at this kind of I guess you could say calibrated Washington Commander team, you should come out here and dominate. So dominate. Show me that you're that quarterback now. Show me that we can't rally you and that yes, you can't have a solution and make your team, because your team basically you have a lot of people coming back that you played with. Yeah, these guys have played together. The only thing might be new is his OC, which he played with the Rams. Yeah. That's coming to make his life even much easier. So to me, the pressure's on you. This team has pressure, yes, because we have a new staff but guess what? We have a time. Yes, with all this new, we have time. We've given you a couple of games to say, show us that we just have a promising future. Yeah. Baker Mayfield ain't no time. We just paid you. Show us that you the quarterback that's for our future.
London Fletcher just said it, man. If you're going to be making big money, you got to make big plays. And he got paid some big money.
He want to get paid more because guess what? He got 3 years, 100. Yeah. Everybody else is getting 50, 60 a year.
So a lot to
prove. So he has a lot to prove, Tanner. You're right on that.
To Tanner's point, amen to that. Guys, it was fun doing this Saturday Night Live special out in Tampa. We will be live for pregame tomorrow for the kickoff out in Tampa. Commanders taking on the Buccaneers. Jaden Daniels' debut as a starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders. Commanders fan, we have had so much fun talking to you guys. Thank you for the fan questions. Keep sending them in. I'm going to talk to my producer. We're going to figure out a good hashtag for you guys to be able to send us questions all season long. Until tomorrow, Commanders family, Brian Coble Jr., Brian Mitchell, Santana Moss, we out.